Well, good morning, everybody. It's a dog in the kennel on a Monday, the 10th of September, 2012, with yet another edition of Weber on Sports. Hope you had a great weekend. Let's talk U.S. Open tennis. Serena Williams, of course, winning another Grand Slam title, as expected. And, of course, the men will go for the title this afternoon on CBS Sports. Djokovic, one of the most phenomenal tennis players of all time, in my judgment, takes on Andy Murray. Andy Murray's got two chances in my judgment, slim and none. Look for Djokovic to win that this afternoon at the U.S. Open tennis tournament, delayed, of course, a day because of inclement weather that hit New York over the weekend. Well, the LPGA is underway. They had a playoff. Believe it or not, they started this morning at 9 o'clock on Golf Channel. We have yet to find out who won that between Paula Creamer and Ji Shin. They had a playoff that took 8 holes yesterday until darkness set in. And guess what? The 8-hole playoff was the same hole, which is kind of ironic, the 18th hole. I think it had to do something with the pond or trying to get the crowd back to watch the hole. Can't figure out why they played the same hole 8 straight times, but they tied 8 straight holes. Again, that playoff was to be contested starting at 9 o'clock this morning. If we get to determine who won it, we'll pass it along during the program. Well, let's talk SU football. Yes, they had a game effort. Yes, congratulations goes out to the SU Orangemen, and I'm not a big fan of their football program. I love the kids. I'm not a big fan of Dougie Marrone, the librarian. However, they're 27-point underdogs. They played a game effort. Marrone and his assistants schemed an effort to take away the long passes from Barkley, which probably will win the Heisman Trophy, a first-round pick in next year's NFL draft. They took it away. Credit SU's defensive scheme for doing that. But if you watch the game, and I watched most of it in and out, I was at a clam bake on Saturday, hosted by Sam and Kathy Cosentino up in Geneva, who did a wonderful job hosting about 30 of us. We had a wonderful time. The thing that USC did is they went to the 12, 15-yard passes instead of the 30 to 40 to 50-yard bombs downfield. But when you have sensational pro prospects, probably number one draft choices, namely Woods and Lee, you're not going to be able to compete against those guys defensively. And it proved that, obviously, when they threw the ball 12 yards to USC receivers, they caught the ball. USC wins by 13. Credit SU for making a game effort. They were 27-point underdogs. Nobody, including the president, Nancy Cantor, nobody, including the Pope, thought SU could beat them scratch straight up. What disturbs me about Marrone is I continue to pounce on this guy, saying that I don't think he's the answer at SU, and I will maintain that stance until I see a tremendous amount of body of work that changes my opinion, is his indecision and his unable to make the right call. 13 minutes left, down by 12 points, 28-16. You have the ball on the USC 49, 4th and 2. What would Jim have done? What would I have done? You go for it. Ladies and gentlemen, you're 27-point dogs. Nobody on this earth, including the most rabid Syracuse varsity pizza-eating, wing-eating fan, would have expected SU to beat this team. They're number 2 in the country. You got to go for it. 4th and 2, you're down by 12. What does he do? He punts it away. Terrible, terrible call. And, of course, if you checked out the forum at Syracuse, which I did last night, even the rabid SU students were ripping Marrone for the bad call. So, Doogie, stop worrying about the library. Stop worrying about which section stupidity is in. Make the right call next time. Give the kids an opportunity. Syracuse had a game effort, but the coach, once again, with his failure to make the right call, in my judgment, gave them no opportunity to try to win that game. Well, the good news is SU fans can finally suck it up and bring home a W. We have, example, make believe, this is a Stony Brook on the rocks. I'll take a sip. Tastes so good. And that's what's going to be good about SU. They're going to knock this team off. If they don't, let's clear out the dome and blow it up. Forget about it. If they don't beat Stony Brook, what are we going to talk about? Table tennis? Shooting pool? Badminton? So there's no way that you can possibly equate the thought that SU could lose to Stony Brook on the rocks. They get them this week at the Dome. Bring home a W. Anything short of a W, close down the program. Elsewhere in the world of sports, let's talk about Alabama. I was checking out Alabama the other night, and I'll tell you something. I know their academic standards aren't very high at that university, the Crimson Tide. But, man, they look good. They look really good. I think they got a shot at the Bills. I really do. I think they could beat Miami, seriously. This team is just loaded for bear. It's inconceivable to me, and I know it's early, how Alabama's going to lose a football game. They play just unbelievable defense. They got enough offense. They are well coached. End of story. They are loaded for bear, and I would not be surprised if Alabama doesn't run the table one more time. And how about them Cowboys? And I know you Tommy Coughlin fans, which I'm a big fan of Tommy, they got bragging rights. Jerry Jones has been shooting his mouth off for years about his failure to bring his team up to New York to beat the Giants. Well, they did a couple of days ago, and you got to give credit to the Cowboys. Romo looked good. Dez Bryant looked good. They got some great catches from Ogletree. They played good. They chased, Manning around the backfield there. It was a good effort by the Cowboys, but it's early in the season. Keep in mind a stat that you may not be aware of. In all of the Giant championships / Super Bowl wins, they always lose the first game of the year. So not to despair, not to jump off any bridges. Let's let the season play out. But a big bragging right move by the Dallas Cowboys. An NFL season, I think it's almost hilarious. I have been bad-mouthing the Bills forever. I can remember bad-mouthing Buffalo when I was doing Weber on Sports back for WSFW in the 70s and 80s. And I'm still bad-mouthing. Can you say pathetic? Can you say horribility? Dumb and Dumber, Chan Gailey and his general manager, Buddy Nix, decided to take away a couple $100 million of the Alzheimer's Ralph Wilson, who, God forsake, thank God, doesn't understand what's happening. $200 million they spent during the offseason bringing in Super Mario Williams. Super Mario, the answer for the defense. I heard his name called once yesterday in that Jet game. They paid him $100 million for 5 or 6 years. One time I heard Mario Williams touch a player. Tell you what, the bearded, fuzzy Harvard graduate Fitzpatrick, horrible, 3 interceptions. They are such a pathetic franchise. Could it be 13 years without a playoff? They better turn their fortunes around. In this morning's DNC, Gailey is very upset with the fan base and the media as they all are proclaiming the sky is falling. No kidding, Chan. You and Dumb and Dumber, once again, have put together a great football team. And I know it's only one game, but from what I saw yesterday on TV was pretty sad. How about Peyton Manning, huh? He's back. Out in Denver, no more Tebow magic. They got Peyton Manning magic. Peyton leads the Broncos to a big Sunday night win against Pittsburgh. Credit, good old Peyton. He's still got a lot of game. San Fran goes into Green Bay. Shock City knocks off the Packers. That was a surprise. What an outstanding debut of RG3. Robert Griffin III goes into New Orleans. Who dat? Who dat? Blows away the Saints. They win by 8 or 10. They control the game from the outset. What a shocking, unbelievable chain of events. And I pick on the Bills, calling them a bunch of slobs and they can't play football and they're horrible. And I admire anybody who's a Bills fan. If you're watching me now and you're a Bills fan, mamma mia, bless you. There's one team, in my opinion, that might be worse than the Bills. Ironically, they're in the same division. Miami. If I was a Miami Dolphin fan, I'd be kind of hoping, not for hurricanes to hit Miami, but maybe a little bit of a tropical storm. Why is that? Because a good-sized tropical storm of 50, 60 mile an hour, I'm not talking 150 mile an hour winds here, 50, 60 miles might blow out your cable service so you can't watch them. Oh, my God. Tannehill debut looked horrible as well. He looked pathetic. The Dolphins looked like they might not win a game in 2012. This is Weber on Sports. We're giving you my opinion on a bevy of topics. We're going to go to a lot more topics, including the local sports scene, and a whole lot more after we take a break and hear from our great sponsors. Welcome back, everybody. It's the Dog in the Kennel here on a Weber on Sports broadcast for FingerLikes1.com Sports here on a Monday, the 10th of September. Hope you're having a good morning. Hey, how about Miners football? They've been under a lot of siege lately. They haven't had a very good record in football the last several years. I, of course, remember the days when we had a proud MA football tradition where we were winning so many games it was getting ridiculous. Now, of course, Miners has been on hard times, but good news. They start off 2-0. Winning against Nichols as they debuted their new facility. Jim Senecropi said he was at the game. He said it's a beautiful complex, beautiful broadcast booth, and of course we're going to have more to talk about that at the end of the show. But congrats to our alma mater, Miners Academy, for opening up 2-0 in the game of football. Go get 'em. Speaking of congrats, how about the Hobart Statesmen? They open up again. They knocked off a team called Geneva, ironically, in Geneva the other day. Hobart now goes to 2-0. Congrats to the Statesmen. And we want to send out good luck as the seasons get underway to the boys and girls soccer programs around the area, the girls tennis, and the girls volleyball teams as their seasons get underway. Well, you know something? The Yankees, the O's in Tampa. Down the stretch we come, as the Yankees now start off on a Monday, the 10th of September, with a one-game lead against Baltimore, 2 games up against Tampa Bay. I got to tell you something. I'm sorry if you're a CC Sabathia fan like my wife Mary is. $26 million a year? I don't think he's worth $26 a year, folks. He's pitching like a pig. Oink, oink. I'm sorry. The other night he gave up 5 runs, 8 hits. That's not the Sabathia that we count on. That's not the Sabathia that the Yankees signed to a $1 zillion contract. He's had a few bad starts in a row. It's time to suck it up, CC. Take your big body out there and your big, strong left arm, and you got to start throwing us some Ks and some shutout innings. We're not paying you $26 million for your looks. So I'm quite disappointed in the likes of CC Sabathia. And if you're a Yankee fan, unless your head is in the clouds, you would agree with me. Well, you know what? Speaking of horrible baseball, I must tell you, my sister-in-law lives in Tampa, Florida, and during the Tampa Yankee series a few days ago, here's a team that's 2 games out in the loss column for the division title playing the Yankees. As you pan the crowd, and thank God the cameras panned the crowd a few times, half the stadium was empty. Half of it. I don't know what capacity is there. It might be near 38 or 39K. There may have been 17,000, 18,000 people in the stands. What do you need if you're a Tampa fan to show up to support your Tampa Bay Rays? What is it? What is the turning point? I can't figure it out. If I was the owner of Tampa Bay and I looked at that crowd and saw half of my seats empty, and I'm playing the New York Yankees, and it's September, I'd be getting together with the brass of Major League Baseball, and I would be sending out feelers for possible other cities to relocate. Tampa Bay, in my judgment, does not deserve a Major League Baseball franchise. What the hell do you do in Tampa, Florida? You sweat during the day. You see a lot of clouds. Big deal. You might go on your boat. But when it's baseball time and your team is in the pennant race, you should get out and support them. Now, I understand if you're 48 games out. Maybe you wouldn't show up. I understand that. But you're in the hunt. And you show up with half a pie? Terrible. I hope I'm alive when the Tampa Bay franchise decides enough is enough and move out. By the way, the play Baltimore Saturday night Yankee game, 5-4, top of the 9th, runners on first and third, Baltimore up by a run. Teixeira bounces to second, to the shortstop, hitting the bag at second, 1 out. Going to first, Teixeira dives with his fingers touching the bag. Are you kidding me? I got one good eye. He was safe by this much. The umpire, you're out. Double play, game over. Yanks lose 5-4. Where are we going with this? Where are we going with this? Are we using the mentality that here it is 2012? The innovation, the technological support that Jim Senecropi knows so much about, the smartphones that come out every other week, Samsung, Apple, Verizon, they come out with these new gadgets every week and a half. A new gadget. Well, they might be $400, but they're a new gadget. You can do anything on these things. You can check out Weber on Sports. You could check out the Dog and Paulie Show. You could check out Kenny's Two Pennies. The point is, haven't we reached a point in our technological world to use the media to help us? Here's a pennant race, okay? It's a one-game differential. Teixeira is safe. Replays by Jim Senecrobi's smartphone would have shown he's safe. Reverse the call. Game tied 5-5. Would the Yankees have won that game? I don't know. And oh, by the way, you don't know. But at least they wouldn't have got screwed and lose the game by a run. It is ridiculous how Major League Baseball approaches the importance of down the stretch. Now, if a team is 21 games out, playing another team that's 22 games out, I could care less what you replay. But teams that are in the hunt, let's make the call right. And I don't want to hear this hogwash that umpires are human, that when they go give blood, the blood sucks in like mine does. I don't want to hear that hogwash. That is a cop-out. We have the technology in place. The networks have the technology in place. Major League Baseball could send a person to each one of these important down-the-stretch teams up in the press box. They could review close plays when they mean something. That meant something. They could have buzzed that head umpire. Oops, made a mistake. Reverse, game tied 5-5. They didn't do that. They go off the field losing. Teixeira, who never says anything critical, badmouthed the fact that the umpires were trying to get out of there to go get pizza and wings. They were in a hurry to leave the park. Come on, folks. We're in the 21st century. I remember the days before Jim Senecrobi was born that I used to have to go make a call, and I drove in a snowstorm, and I used to see this payphone. And I used to put my head out the window. My fingers were freezing to death and trying to throw a dime or a nickel in the payphone. You folks remember those days? Jim Senecrobi doesn't, but I do. Now we don't have payphones. Well, we have a couple around the area, but not many. The point is, I am so sick and tired of these umpires making bad calls that could prove to be very critical. If these Yankees lose the division by a game or lose the wild card by a game, you can go back and look at that video this past Saturday night on Teixeira's play. He was safe. Ridiculous. Hey, elsewhere, let's talk about the likes of the Pittsburgh Pirates and my buddy Mike Cotillo, Billy Owen. Big Buckaroos fans. 22 years in a row they have had a losing record. I thought there was no chance they could make it 23. Oops. I checked out the standings this morning. With 23 left? They're only 5 games up. Could it be? Come on, Bucks. Go into another one of your famous swoons. I want to see 23 straight years for those Pirates losing records. They're 5 games up. We'll be tracking that down on the next several shows. Hey, NASCAR Richmond, wasn't it sweet? Clint Boyer, the champion. And now the chase starts next week in Chicago. Who gets in the 2 wild cards? Casey Kane. And one of the more popular race drivers, Jeff Gordon, gets in, nipping the baby Kyle Busch, who loses the wild card spot by 3 points. He was not a happy camper. He didn't talk to the media for very long because I'm sure he would have used a bunch of profanities. It was sensational to see that baby and his brother Kurt, who's another big crybaby, get knocked out of the chase. It was marvelous to the dog. So let's hear it for justice is finally happening in the world of NASCAR racing. Again, the chase gets underway starting this week. I always make these crazy predictions. I'm going to go way out on the limb and take Jeff Gordon. He got in by the slimmest of margins. I got this hunch that he may win the whole thing. Danica update. We have a Danica Patrick update. Are you ready? Yes, you're ready. I'll give you a second to get adjusted here. Go, Daddy, go. She raced in the nationwide race, of course, in Richmond on Friday night. She did very well. She finished 29th. 29th. I think the Go Daddy Go executives that are paying her all this money to represent their product might want to whisper in her ear, Danica, it's time to go. This is the right leg. Put it on the gas pedal. Let's go. Finishing 15th in nationwide, 18th, and now 29th. Don't cut it. We don't get a lot of PR by seeing your car smashed up or another terrible performance. We'll give you Danica updates every week. To Dick Marshall and Ted Flock, Danica did real well, guys. 29th. And I was thinking about this. I see that LeBron James, who's a multi-zillionaire, good old LeBron is up to his old tricks again. He's got a new sneaker on the market. I don't know if Jim's thinking about buying his daughter a pair or maybe not. $300 retail. Now, I'm 67. Back in the days when I used to wear sneakers, matter of fact, I'm wearing them today. They're worth about $12 from Walmart. But I remember getting hand-me-down sneakers from my middle brother, Ronnie, who's 11 months older than the dog. I don't recall ever talking to my mother and stepdad, Joe, would you go out and buy me those expensive celebrity sneakers? Not! Who in their right mind, unless you're Donald Trump's grandchild, could afford $300 for a pair of sneakers? I don't know many people in this economy could do that. There are a bunch of rich people, no doubt, that could afford it. But the average citizen is going to go out. Can you see the conversation at dinner table from Johnny talking to his mother? Mom, LeBron James, my idol's got new sneakers on the market. Can we go get a pair? How much are they? $300. And after the mom throws a cup of soup at his face and sends him up to his room, the discussion continues. I mean, come on. $300 for a pair of sneakers? I don't know. To me, sneakers are sneakers. It is not, to me, the LeBron James name on it that makes it important for the dog. Sneakers are just sneakers. Let's move on. Dion Waiters, Syracuse, sixth man, best in the Big East. Outstanding player. Dion. You know what? I always respect the SU basketball program because they reload every year. They got a sensational incoming crop of new players this year. But the celebrity status in most times tell you that they're celebrities for a reason. They arrive at the airport by limo. They get on private planes. They don't have to wait in line. They don't have the security checks. Get your hands off me. They fly to their point. They're treated like superstars. They arrive in Syracuse, New York. A limo picks them up at the private airport. They whisk them to their autograph session, which Dion Waiters came to Syracuse to sign autographs. And, of course, he was being compensated for his time. He gets there. He's doing his autographs. Of course, Dion picked a course in the first round of the NBA draft. He's a multimillionaire. Good for Dion Waiters, because Dion's got game. He's signing autographs. His hand's getting weary. He's getting tired, but he keeps signing. He signs. Dion Waiters. Guess what? A lady comes through with her daughter, and the lady gives a note to Dion, and the daughter gets a picture of Dion, and Dion does a picture. And the mom writes a note to Dion. Here he is signing hundreds of autographs, and Dion or one of his associates reads the letter and says that my daughter considers you her idol. My daughter does excellent schoolwork because of you. You are her inspiration. And oh, by the way, if you're not going back to where you came from tonight, I wonder where you guys are going to dinner. If you would like to come to our home, I understand your favorite meal is tacos. I'd be more than happy to go get tacos and serve you dinner. Right. Having been an MC for many sporting events in my career, I have introduced tons of celebrities. David Winfield, Yogi Berra, Whitey Ford, Jim Rice. I've had the opportunity doing the DeSales Banquet way back when to introduce superstars. Most of them are pretty nice guys, but there's a lot of idiots in that world of celebrity. They wouldn't give you the time of day. What impressed me is the letter got to Dion Waiters' entourage. And guess what? After the autograph session, one of Dion Waiters' associates or agents or managers calls up this lady and says, we're coming, we need directions. He shows up at their home with 5 of his cousins, Dion plus 5 cousins. The family is lit up like a Christmas tree. The daughter's eyes are bigger than a $50 coin. They walk in, they sit down, they had a wonderful taco meal, and to the credit to the parents who got Dion to come with his cousins, they didn't tell the neighbors. They didn't have 50 people in the living room waiting for Dion Waiters. They just had the family. They had the daughter, whose impression with Dion Waiters coming to their home, spending time with her, talking to her about basketball and about schoolwork, meant a lot to me. To me, that's a class move. I will always like Dion Waiters when I heard about this story. SU graduates, SU fans should be proud of Dion Waiters, because in my judgment and in my experience, 99.9% of those celebrities would have been to a highfalutin steakhouse in downtown Syracuse. They wouldn't have wasted their time going to a fan's home. So kudos to Dion Waiters from Weber on Sports. I thought it was a class act. Dog and Paulie coming up this week. The dog won't be here. I'm going to be out of town. Sorry. But not to worry. Paul will be joined by the legendary Joe Spazzato. They'll be sitting in. Joe will be with us for the whole hour, along with Jimmy Senacropi and the likes of Paulie Hellstrom. And a week from this Wednesday, the Dog and Paulie, we're going to have a double feature for you. Mark Reese, young man, is taking over and helping out the Frederick J. Morganti Scholarship Fund, the Forever 5K Young Race. That'll be held on Saturday, October the 6th. And, of course, we're going to be talking to Mark Reese via phone for the first 5 or 6 or 7 minutes of that show on the 19th. We'll get a rundown of what people out there in TV land or internet land can do to help this cause. All the benefits, all the proceeds are going to the Frederick J. Morganti III Scholarship Fund. So Mark Reese joins us at the beginning of the show for a few minutes, and then, of course, we'll have the superintendent of the Seneca Falls School District, Bob McKevney, along with the board president, Joe McNamara, are expected to arrive to talk about the capital project that they put into place a few years ago. And now, of course, a lot of work's being done up at Seneca Falls, including the enhancements of Brockfield and a whole lot more. We'll get a chance to talk to them up close and personal, introducing you to them as well. So that should be a lot of fun. That comes up on the 19th. Take care, everybody. As always, thanks for joining us here on Weber on Sports. Take care. That's a look at sports my way.